Good morning. Welcome to First Unitarian Church of Providence, where we love beyond belief. We welcome you whoever you are, whomever and however you love, and whatever you may or may not believe. A special welcome to those of you who are joining us on our YouTube channel from wherever you may be, nearby or far away. My name is Annie Bissett, and I will be your worship associate this morning. During the summer, while our ministers are resting and renewing, the worship committee hosts a series of services which are led by church members and friends, with music also provided by church members and friends. This morning, we are pleased to have Trent Batson as our speaker. Trent has attended First U since August of 23 and is a member of the men's group, the Green Team, and one of the Soul Circles. A retired university professor, he continues research in human evolution and climate change and serves as Vice President of Groundwork Rhode Island. He sees First U as a model for how churches should lead in adapting to this century. We also thank Claire Rosenbaum for accompanying us on hymns, and Mike Shand and Brian Bartling for providing other music this morning. Let us now center our hearts and minds as we listen to a musical offering by Mike and Brian. There seems to be a cat that has entered our sanctuary here, and this is not a situation I've ever encountered before, so if we have any cat whisperers in the congregation and you want to deal with the cat, that's lovely. Thank you so much. We could let her stay. At any rate, now is our time to greet one another, so please stand as you are able and greet the folks that are in your vicinity or walk around however you feel comfortable. As you make your way back to your seat, please turn around toward the camera in the back balcony and say good morning to the people who are watching online. We welcome you also. Our opening words come from a poem by E.E. Cummings, who was the son of a UU minister. I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees and a blue true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. I who have died am alive again, and this is the sun's birthday. This is the birthday of life and of love and wings and of the gay, great happening illimitably earth. How should tasting, touching, hearing, seeing, breathing, any lifted from the no of all nothing, human, merely being, doubt unimaginable you? Now the ears of my ears awake, and now the eyes of my eyes are opened. Please join me in reciting the words for our chalice lighting this morning, found in your order of service. This light burns also in our hearts, and the light shining for harmony, justice, and hope for all. For the past year or so, we've been reciting our church covenant at the beginning of our services. Generally speaking, a covenant is a promise that we make to one another, that people make to one another. This congregation began with the signing of a covenant in 1728. Since then, our congregation has changed the covenant a number of times, most recently in 2009. Please join me in reciting this covenant, which is found in your order of service. And please, even if you're not a member, feel free to recite it. Even if this is your first time here, feel free to recite it. It's fine to make a covenant just for this hour, just for this day. We, the members of the First Unitarian Church of Providence, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the light we know by many names, and with gratitude for our deep connection to each other and to the larger web of existence, covenant to walk together in our search for truth, seeking the paths of wisdom, compassion, and justice. One more reading. This is titled For the Beauty of the Earth, which is the hymn we'll be singing shortly. It's written by retired UU minister Barbara Peskin. For the beauty of the earth, this spinning green, blue-green ball, yes. Earth, mother of everything, we walk gently across your back to come together again in this place, to remember how we can live, to remember who we are, to create how we will be. Earth, our home, the lap in which we live. Welcome us here. Please rise as you are able, and let's sing together hymn number 21 in the gray hymnal, For the Beauty of the Earth. We now hear the joys and sorrows of the people in our congregation, as written in this book, which is found in the back of the meeting house. Our partner church in Transylvania carved the beautiful candlestick, the pedestal for the large candle, from which we light all our individual candles of joy and sorrow. We have 2 today. From Lisa, a candle of healing for our dear friend Zach, who is here today. A smooth and speedy recovery to you, Zach. A candle for our friend Dick and Walter, I'm sorry, I can't read it too well, but it seems to say Dick and Walter, who are undergoing chemotherapy, to their recovery. Friends, let us rest in the gladness that we have each other to share in our joys and sorrows. It makes all the difference. Let's open our minds and hearts now to the place of quiet, to the silent prayer that we carry for the healing of pain, and to the soft presence of love. If you have lost someone in the past year, you are invited to stand or raise your hand in memory of that person. And at the end of our time of silence, please allow the sound of music to gently bring your awareness back to the room.
Once again, good morning. Everyone always says that here. It's so nice and friendly. It's nice to see such a crowd on a warm Sunday in the summer. Appreciate you coming despite the heat. I've been here for a year, as Annie mentioned, and the minute I walked in, I felt I belonged, which I think a lot of people say. And one of the key wonders of this church, and that's related to what I want to talk about today. We all know that we're in a climate crisis, and I'm sure the response whenever you hear that word is, or those 2 words, climate crisis, is, but what can we do? After all, I can't do much about getting companies to stop using oil, or people to stop using gas cars, or what can I do as a person, as an individual? And I'm going to try to convince everyone that we are doing something already. The climate crisis is very challenging, as we all know. I mean, the newest thing I've heard is that when mountain slopes are burning in the west, that then what follows are continual flooding, because all the trees have been burned away, all the grass is gone, all the roots are burned up, and so now they get flooding. And so it's not just fire that burns, but then we get floods. And so it's getting worse, and as we know, even if we stopped using if we stopped emitting any kind of greenhouse gas in the next, say like tomorrow, we would still have a whole century of climate effects, because there's so much carbon dioxide in the air already. So we have a century to deal with. We need to get to zero emissions first, But then we have to deal with what a lot of us are calling societal resilience. How is it that we as humans get through this next century? How do we do best? How do we reduce the disruptions? How do we deal with disasters? How do we come back together? How do we become a good human society once again? That's why I call it a return. I think it's easy enough for people to assume, looking at the last 2 centuries of war and excess and burning fossil fuels and gouging the earth and sending oil tankers around the oceans full of billions of gallons of oil, that humans are somehow corrupt and evil and doing bad things. And that's easy to think that just from the last 200 years, but I'm a human evolution researcher, and I look at the last 6 million years. And we get a very different story from the last 6 million years. You may not be totally familiar with the story of human evolution, but we've only been around for 6 million years. When you consider the Earth is 4.5 billion years old, we're very recent. We're a young species. Actually, humans, there have been about 15 or 16 different species in the genus human. We are Homo sapiens, the last humans. There are no other humans except for us now. We're the last species. And we've only been around for 300,000 years, so that's like the blink of an eye in evolutionary terms. But the main thing that humans have been able to do, and this is the backstory, I'll lead up to that. We were primates living in the trees in Southeast Africa. But for one reason or another, we small primates started to venture out onto the savanna. And we had adapted to live in the trees, so we were very quick. You know, there were no predators that could catch us because we could just scamper up to a higher branch, or the branch would be too thin for a lion to be on or for a tiger. So we had adapted fully to being in the forest, but then we ventured out onto the savanna. What were we doing out there? Why did we go out there? We weren't adapted to be on the savanna at all. We didn't have sharp claws to defend ourselves or fangs. We weren't that fast. So what did we do? We gathered together into troops. We realized that if there were 10 of us, we could protect each other. And so right from the start, for 6 million years, we humans, through the various species that have evolved over time, have realized that our social skills are our best ability. And we have developed, many evolution theorists point out that our chief traits are cooperation and empathy. And that is why we have succeeded so well. But on the other hand, we have succeeded too well. I think we all know that we have gone to an excess over the last couple hundred years. The industrial age was very destructive, not only to the planet, but to our society in many ways. And I think we see that where the society is fractured and people feel alone and alienated. We have these 2 political parties in this country who think the other side is evil. So we aren't being cooperative or kind or nice or anything. But what has happened is that we are actually at the end of a whole evolutionary arc. The whole period of survival of the fittest, where we just had to get more land, more food, more people, more machines, more. We didn't have to think about it. Just whatever we could do, we would do. Until we got to the atom bomb. And then we had to stop and think. Just a second, we could end all life on Earth. And so we actually did stop and take a pause and say, well, we probably better not use atomic bombs. And we still, of course, might. I hope not. But what we've come to is what I like to call a stop sign. The climate crisis is like, okay, humans, you've gone a little too far. And so we have to think of a new time. And that's why I say a return to belonging, resilience, reverence, and hope, because that's who we were. That's how we got how we survived over the millions of years was by being kind to each other. We even had something called the grandmother factor, where unlike most species, there's maybe one or two other species that does this, where the grandparent is involved in child rearing. It's a human advantage to bring grandparents in to assure the continuity of the species. So we had all kinds of advantages, natural advantages. And we stood up because we were on the grass in the savannah. We were only about 3 feet tall at that point, so we couldn't see over the grass. So we stood up, and we didn't have really good, ability to stand because we never had to do that in the trees. But we stood up, and that freed our hands. These hands have made civilization. These are the hands that learned how to smash rocks together and then eventually to flake off sharp edges, which we could use to prepare food. And it was such a valuable ability, this being able to flake off something that we discovered this 2.5 million years ago, that we actually had to invent a language to pass on those skills. It was such a complicated skill of what kind of rock do you use that will flake like that? Where do you find them? How do you do it? How do you preserve? How many backup flaking rocks do you need, for the various kinds of work that the tribe is doing to prepare food? So we invented sign language. We didn't have the vocal apparatus for speech 2.5 million years ago. We've only had that since 50,000 years ago. So for most of our history, we used sign language. This is the mother language. I know sign language, so that's why I'm using my hands. We use sign language as our mother language. It's our mother technology, because language is what has helped us to create our civilization. 1.8 million years ago, we learned how to control fire, which was very important for defense and for being able to scare animals away. But it was also something that allowed us to cook food. And by cooking food, we made the nutrients in the food much more accessible, much more quickly. Instead of having to chew for 8 hours a day, which Richard Wrangham at Harvard estimates we had to do, the raw food that we were eating before cooking took us 8 hours a day chewing in order to digest it. That was a lot of wasted time just sitting around. Can you imagine chewing for 8 hours a day? But we did that. But then when we cooked food, we could eat it almost right away. The nutrients were available right away. That allowed our brain to grow. So we, were able to get a bigger brain and I guess think better and do kinds of things that we wouldn't have done otherwise. And then, then Homo sapiens came along, and our big skill is being able to create large, complex societies. And now we've created a society so complex around the world that we have bad people in charge of it. Somehow it's gotten too big. We can't control it. The natural human goodness has been lost because we seem to find that very bad people rise to the top. And so at the collective level, globally, we probably can't change how things operate. But what is happening, and this is happening around the world, is people are saying, well, no, you go back to the community level. At the community level, we are good people. We care for each other. We like each other. We help each other. We do good things at the community level. And so we actually are we're going to have a conference in the fall of 2025 here in Providence. It's going to be about the same topic. It's going to be about what we call societal resilience. And societal resilience is where the traits of resilient people get infused into the society itself. So we respond well to disasters, and we help each other, and we have networks, and we connect. And resilience is such an important term, I'm going to actually emphasize it by spelling it out, RESILIENCE. And we might sign that hope. That's one big part of resilience is hope. Another part is trust. Can anyone do that? Can you do hope? Hope, trust, belief, reverence, and then cooperation. This is how deaf people would sign these things, and it helps you to remember if you have those signs. I taught deaf people for many, many years, so that's why I know sign language. So the key thing is rebuilding community, returning to community, and that's what this church is doing, and that's why I'm so happy about what this church is doing, because this church does build community. I mean, I was here for 2 months and I was already on 3 different groups. You know, and I've been on campuses all my life because of my profession, but I come here and it feels like it's a campus. I mean, there's just so many interesting people to talk to. All of you are interesting. I have not met anyone in this congregation that's not interesting and fun to talk to. So congratulations on how wonderful you all are. But so that is the key, and that's why we're going to have that conference. We're going to invite higher education to participate, K through 12, all the churches, the chief resilience officer, who is Kim Koryath, appointed by the governor just in this last January. Someone at URI named Pam Rubinoff has been researching and talking about resilience for decades and is one of the noted experts in the state. We hope that she'll come and be one of the keynotes. And I hope that this church, as the Green Team, because I'm a member of the Green Team, will be part of the sponsoring organizations in the state, because churches need to restore reverence for life, for the earth, and for each other. And that's something else that I think we are doing, is we're restoring that sense of reverence. There's some reason to see the good in humans and to worship the earth as providing perhaps the only cradle of life anywhere that we know of in what is essentially the infinity of space, because who can imagine 94 billion light years? That's how wide the light taking 94 billion years to cross the universe, that is infinity for me. So we need to restore our reverence. If we are the only intelligent life form in all of that infinity, we had better revere what we have and recognize the miracle that we are. And that's the message I want to leave with you, is that we are all a miracle, and we need to recognize that our dogs, our cats, our birds, our earth is also a miracle. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Trent. It was really amazing to take that very, very, very large and long view of us. Really appreciated your words. Thank you. Please rise as you are able, and let's sing together hymn number 207 in the gray hymnal. Earth was given as a garden. for the sun and the dawn which we did not create, for the moon and the evening which we did not make, for this gathered company which helps keep us human and encourages us in our quest for beauty, truth, and love, for all things which come to us as gifts from sources beyond ourselves. We lift up our hearts in gratitude. We pass our collection baskets to make a community expression of gratitude for our many blessings, those we have witnessed and those yet to come. Our service next Sunday will be led by Cindy Baptiste, who will speak to us about her experiences being a Soto Zen Buddhist priest and a Unitarian Universalist. We look forward to seeing you then. Be sure to check First U Times, our weekly newsletter, that is the single source for news, events, and everything that's happening here at First U. The Times is sent by email to all members and friends and others who sign up to receive it. You can access it and sign up through our church website or fill out a guest registry card at the welcome table in the meeting house, or I think, yes, at the back. To paraphrase our last hymn, may earth bless us and we bless earth. May we be made whole. May our waste and warfare cease. May we be filled with overflowing grace to do whatever work we are called to do. May we learn to live in peace. The fan has extinguished our chalice for us, but let's recite the words to bring our service to a close. We carry the flame of peace, love, and hope until we meet again. Please join us in the courtyard here between our two buildings for refreshments and good company.